My name is Wayne Talbot, a 75-year-old Australian and author of Once a Christian. You might like to know why I was once a Christian but no longer, and why I wrote the book as I did. Please excuse me as I refer to my notes. I'm not very good at this. I sought to re-examine the Christian New Testament using my experience and competence as a commercial analyst. What I found surprised me. Having studied Roman, Greek and Jewish culture of the Second Temple period, it became evident that many of the stories in the New Testament were implausible. Here I am not speaking of claimed miracles. I had chosen to ignore them in my analysis. I then studied church history and was appalled at the anti-Jewish writings of the early church fathers and the compromises with the sun-worshipping pagan emperor Constantine. Something here was clearly wrong. Researching Christian apologetics, I found Christian scholars who doubted that Jesus had any intention of forming a new religion either alongside or replacing Judaism. So, if it was not intended by Jesus, whose idea was it? Replacement theology has its origins in the claim of Jesus announcing a new replacement covenant at the Last Supper. Studying that issue, I came to the conclusion that such an interpretation was unfounded and published my findings in an earlier book, The New Covenant on Trial. The evidence against the authenticity of Christianity as a religion of God continued to build. There is the common assertion that the Christian Bible is the inerrant Word of God. I regularly study around 25 translations from the Hebrew, Greek, Latin and Syriac, and have found significant variations amounting to contradictions. Curiously, inerrancy of the Hebrew scriptures is not a tenet of belief in Judaism. By what logic or authority can Christianity claim inerrancy of the Old Testament when its source, the Tanakh, is not said to be inerrant? That made no sense to me. The New Testament is internally contradictory. For example, in the narrative of finding the empty tomb, all four Gospels agree on only one point: that Jesus was not there. They contradict one another on every other single issue, effectively refuting any claim of inerrancy. There are numerous implausible stories, such as Matthew's account of the Magi, the betrayal of Judas, by Judas, and the claim of Paul being a Pharisee of the school of Hillel. In my book, I explain why I do not accept these propositions. There are also narratives witnessed by nobody, such as the temptations in the desert and Jesus' words in the Garden of Gethsemane. Accounts of his trial are third-hand at best. The most curious aspect of Christianity, and why I contend that it is incoherent, is that it starts with the definition of God as omnipotent, omniscient, immutable, and infinitely prescient, and then builds a theology where God is none of those things. If, as claimed in 2 Peter and Revelation, God foreknew even before creation that he would send his Son to die a horrible death in atonement for the sins of people whom he had yet to create, why did he do as he did? To put it bluntly, this God sets us up to fall, making him more like the gods of the ancient Egyptians, Romans and Greeks than the God of the Hebrew Scriptures. In what way can the Christian God be described as the God of love, when by its own theology he was anything but? Why would God condemn human sacrifice as being sinful and then command human sacrifice in atonement for sin? Two wrongs cannot make a right. I am not anti-Christian, I am pro-God. I seek the truth of God, not confident that I'll ever find it, but at least I think I can expose untruth. If this book is of interest, I expound further in 4 subsequent volumes on the law of God, prophecy fulfillment, religions in general, and a Gentile conversation with Jewish sages. God bless and guide you in your search for truth, always provided that you are prepared to abandon existing beliefs where evidence warrants. Thank you.